Hi everyone, welcome to this new episode of our troubleshooting series within Dynamics F&O. And for this episode, we want to have a look at a common issue encountered by the purchasing team. That is when you print out a purchase order confirmation report, the actual price is not showing up on the report. So quite often people consider this as a report requirement issue, but actually it can be controlled through a setting that I'm going to show you in a second. But before we start, please do like, comment, subscribe if you feel this content is helpful. That will really help me to continue providing more value towards all the videos I'm going to share. All right, so I appreciate your support, and now let's get back to the topic today. Now let's say I'm part of the purchasing team and we just created a purchase order. And now I want to generate the purchase order confirmation report. So I'm going to get into accounts payable module, do all purchase orders. And now I have picked this latest purchase order for my vendor capable sales and service. So to print that purchase order confirmation report, you can do it under purchase section, and once it's confirmed, you will find the report available under this journal section. So I'll click on this. So for the first line, you see this is version 1. So basically every time when you make edits on that original purchase order, the system is going to generate a different version of confirmation report after you click on that confirm button. Right? So now in our scenario, this is my first version. I'm going to print that original preview. It's going to show up on screen. All right, so the header part looks good. And now when I scroll down, I find out on my PO line, I don't have any cost price showed up on this report. So according to my company policy, and for the specific vendor, I do want to include that pricing information. So how we can change that? Basically, that's a setting within your vendor master. You can turn on and off. So I can go to accounts payable, all vendors, and then here you see I have already filtered on this vendor account, capable sales and service. And now I'm going to open up this form. There is a setting under purchase order defaults. Under this section, you can see we have this option, purchase order prices or amount. So now I'm going to turn this option on. I have to edit first and then turn it on, do save. All right, so basically this is the control point to print out that pricing information on that confirmation report. Now let's have a check. Let me go back to my purchase order. All right, so that should be the last one. Now, to make the change effective, I have to make some edits on my purchase order and then reconfirm again to have a second version of purchase order confirmation report. So to do that, you can, either edit the description or maybe find under this line details, change the text, or add additional note. So in my case, I'm going to edit this customer reference. I'll create something like PO confirmation 2, but you're not obliged to add additional information. You can also just change the text field by giving an extra space or adding a point. So any change on that line level will contribute to that purchase order confirmation report generation for the second version, right? So now I'm going to save this. And if you have any workflow involved, then remember to do request a change in the purchase order. That way that gives you the edit possibility to come back to PO and make changes and then resubmit for workflow. So in my case, there's no workflow. I have added notes and already saved it. Now you see the confirm button is available again. So I'm going to confirm this again. So this option is going to trigger the second version of a PO confirmation report, including the new changes I have made. All right, so now the operation is complete. We can go to purchase order confirmations, and now you see I have my second version available. And let's print out the original preview. So what is expected is to have the price show up on the line level. Let's have a check. All right, so this is my PO line. You do have the unit price, discount, amount, etc., charges if there's any, and my total price. All right, so that's about the fix. Now let's say how we can prevent this from happening again in the future. So let's say my company policy is saying that for all the vendors, I need to have the price show up on my purchase order confirmation report, or at least most of the vendors should have the price show up. And then I can manually override some of the vendors which are not applicable. So if that's the case, you can also set up through the procurement and sourcing parameters. So let me scroll down and find this procurement and sourcing. And just by default, we can turn on that option for all vendors. Now I'm going to find my setup. Okay, so on setup, I will open up this parameters form. By default, for all newly created vendors in the future, you want to include this purchase order prices amount. Then I'll turn it on so you can see it print prices and amounts on purchase order documents, and then save it. So what this does is when you create a new vendor account in the system going forward, this purchase order price amount is going to be enabled automatically. So let me show you here. Now let's say I'm going to create a new vendor. Let's do new. All right, I'll just skip the first part, but if I scroll down under purchase order defaults, you can see this purchase order price amount is enabled automatically. So we have enabled the price printing default at the higher general level, right? And if you think for this vendor, this should be an exception and we don't need price printing, then in that case, you can also disable this option manually when you create that vendor. But basically that's going to save you some effort if most of your vendors require the price being printed on report. But that setting is only going to control the future vendor account creation. It's not going to correct or change back on existing vendors with POs associated. So that's the side note. All right, that's about it. Let me know your thoughts and feel free to comment and let me know what are the other topics you want to review. Thank you guys for watching. See you in the next episode.